Oi, oi, alright, how's it going? I'm Grant, you're you, and this is Doodle Review. It's getting to that time of year, time of joy to the world, giving and receiving of gifts, and most importantly, a time to argue on the internet about your top 10 favourite anything from the year gone past. And I'm kicking off a series of lists that will take you through my top 10 albums of each genre from this year before culminating in my top 50 albums across the board. Now, the purpose of these smaller lists is to kind of shout out some albums I've found really enjoyable within the genre, even if objectively when it came to doing my top 50 albums there were better albums overall. It gives a chance to shout out some lesser known acts. Some of these records I think would rank really highly within their own genre, but when compared across the board to other great music they kind of don't do as well. If you don't see an album here that you think deserves it, you shout in the comments, but do keep your eyes peeled for my top 50 because you might be pleased. Alright, let's get this thing rolling. At number 10, we're going Homefront, Games of Power. This was a late addition to this list, having only recently been recommended this album to check out, but Homefront are a post-punk, new wave, death disco band. Their music really hits that spirit of punk in all of its forms from like 1978 to 1983. The album is raw, dark, but not without great hooks and deep tunes. I would check out the tracks Overtime or Crisis. From there, number 9, we're going to The Kills, God Games. The Kills returned after quite a long break this year, and this is a band that just embodies so much of my taste when it comes to guitar music. It's hard not to fall head over heels for their music. Alison Mosshart is such a great frontwoman and vocalist, just absolutely exuding cool while still having the chops, and Jamie Hintz's guitar is just perfectly sleazy, loose but tight. Check out LAX, it's probably my favourite on that one. At number 8, we're going Mutoid Man Mutants. If you like your heavy metal, heavy, riffy, chuggy and technical but with lots of groove, and you aren't afraid of a little cheesiness in the lyrics, then Mutoid Man is definitely for you. In a year that's honestly, I've found a little dull for metal, at least the kind of metal that I'm into, Mutoid Man has been a breath of fresh air with just unapologetic but still tongue-in-cheek riffage. Check out Graveyard Love to know what I mean. At number 7, we're putting Eve Tumor, Praise the Lord who chews but does not consume. Eve Tumor is an incredible alternative rock artist carrying the torch for so many of my favourite bands of past eras, but with a very present day sensibility. You can make connections to Nine Inch Nails, Mechanical Animals era Marilyn Manson, but generally, if you were a cybergoth kid in the early 2000s, I think you'd probably like this. Check out the track Meteora Blues in particular. At number 6, we're going with a new band, MS Paint and Post American. Their albums like going back to 2000, taking a hardcore CD, new metal CD, and noise rock CD and melting them together into one, putting it in your jog-proof Sony Walkman and then going for a run. Rarely does a band come along sounding this original out of the gate, but this group has done exactly that, and they've done it by carving out the kind of sonic space typically reserved for distorted guitar and replacing it with fuzzy, high reverb synths. I would check out the songs Hardwired and Free From The Sun. At number 5, Screaming Females Desire Pathway. I'm still mourning this band after hearing they're throwing in the towel after more than 10 years of power pop rock greatness. Marissa Paternoster is an absolute guitar hero, and this album gave us some more absolute belters before they called time on it. Check out Brass Bell or Desert Train. At number 4, we're going Drain Living Proof. Now, I was a bit iffy on this album when it came out. In the middle of the year, it was a bit middle of the road, I thought, but as 2023 has gone on, I found myself continuously going back to it. The riffs are just devastating, and while this isn't necessarily anything new for hardcore or the crossover genre, there are some strange choices as well, like the kind of Descendants cover and then the pacing of it, but it just works and I keep coming back to it. It's so much fun. Check out the track Living Proof. At number 3, we've got the Hives, Death of Randy Fitzsimmons. To me, the Hives sit in that rarefied air along with bands like AC/DC and Motorhead, where they just sound so good playing their brand of garage punk rock and roll. They never have to evolve, they just got to turn up. If you've seen them live, you know what I mean. That being said, The Death of Randy Fitzsimmons isn't just a thoughtless rehash, it's a well-produced and dynamic record that never stops being fun. It's one of the bangers of the year for sure. You should check out Countdown to Shut Down. At number 2, we're going with White Reaper, Asking for a Ride. One of my favourite modern day rock bands. They take elements of so many styles I like, whether it's Thin Lizzy guitar harmonies, glam metal swagger, pop punk choruses, indie grit. It's kind of all in there. Asking for a Ride is another great album of wall-to-wall tunes, and Fog Machine is probably my song of the year. It is an absolute stone cold banger. Check that one out for sure. And my number one is a band I'd never heard of before this year, Predeceased. What Do You Do? I saw these guys open for Quicksand this year and they blew me away. These guys sit on the riffy edge of post-hardcore with a sludgy guitar sound reminiscent of Jesus Lizard or Bark Market, with a swagger in their riffs that isn't a million miles away from Queens of the Stone Age. I really recommend checking out the song Scene Parole, Sunday Scaries, or the title track. So yeah, there we go, top 10 rock albums. I know, there's no Metallica, there's no Paramore, there's no Foo Fighters, there's no Queens of the Stone Age. There's loads of huge albums that are not on this list, and so just go off in the comments about it, but also just come back in a few days for the overall top 50 of the year. You might be happy. This isn't an exhaustive list of everything. I just wanted to shine a light on some albums that I think have been really great. As ever, show some love, share some thoughts, or just hurl some abuse in those comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, mate. Cheers then. Bye.